that Hengyue can really capitalize and take advantage of. Our trainers are always ready for the game. I am so excited for the semi-finals of the Birmingham Regional Championships. Stefano Greppi versus Hengyue Zhang with that lead of Ogerpon half lane and Regidrago against the Chen Pao and the Urshifu.
Hengyue's tried and tested lead that he loves to lead so much. Two really powerful offensive threats, Regidrago and Ogerpon. You have to respect both at all times, which makes it really tricky for Stefano to be able to play around here. But yeah, you can see Stefano kind of looking to the Terra steal there. As you mentioned, Zoe, not really any obvious fairy resists on this team, but obviously a risky one to go for that Terra in front of this Ogerpon here. Chen Pao, though, in a decent position, being the fastest Pokemon on the field, and combined with an icy wind here, can actually drop the speeds of both of these very fast Pokemon. And so Urshifu most likely will be able to outspeed both and do a lot of damage to the Regidrago, and even potentially one-hit KO this Ogerpon, and given how much offensive training it has, and given the Mystic Water that this Urshifu has.
Oh, looks like Hengyue does not want to risk a potential Sucker Punch coming off onto that Regidrago. He's going to swap in the Indeedee, which will block out all priority moves. But if Stefano reads this and goes for the Icy Wind, that may be a completely different turn. First, we are going to see a Terrestrialization into the Regidrago. So that is going to become the Terra Fairy. That's going to drop its weakness to ice from that Chen Pao. So a really nice defensive Terra. And now we get to see a responding Terra from Stefano. This one is going to be into the Urshifu, terrestrializing into Terra Steel. So that is going to be a resist into the super powerful Dragon Energy that might be coming off from the Regidrago. And now Chen Pao goes for the Icy Wind, lowers the speed of the Regidrago, as well as chipping away and removing some of the damage from this Dragon Energy. And the Urshifu now surging strikes into the Indeedee. It's going to take a lot of recoil from the rocky helmet that the Indeedee is holding. And Indeedee is actually just going to drop down immediately from this surging strikes.
I think we've seen how specially defensive this Indeedee actually is, and not so much on the physical side, meaning it is dropping down now to that combination of attacks. But what is free now? It's Regidrago to start going on the offensive here. And if it's that Dragon Energy, it's going to do a lot. But Draco still as well into a Terra Steel. Yeah, that is still enough to get the KO here. Disrespecting the Regidrago still. Plus that Rocky Helmet chip being so crucial to get that KO. But the question is for Hengyue, was it worth it? Obviously, it's a bit of a trade 1v1, but now your Regidrago is stuck in -2 special attack. And Urshifu arguably may have done its job here, as it's went for the Terra to kind of resist those Dragon moves, or rather force Hengyue's kind of hand on trying to go for a single target Dragon move, whereas a Dragon Energy might not have been enough.
It's also worth noting that the Indeedee has been knocked out from the surging strikes, and Stefano, we can see on the screen here, has a Rillaboom, which means Stefano has won the terrain war and can just override the psychic terrain at any time that he wants.
That's a really good point, actually. And now that unlocks the priority moves that these Pokemon so like to use. We've got that Thunderclap, we've got the Sucker Punch, and we've got the Grassy Glide, which now Stefano is so freed up for the rest of this match here. But Ogerpon Halflame is going to be coming back in, and that's a very good Pokemon, I will tell you that. But into Raging Bolt, not incredible, right? With that Dragon typing, it's going to be able to take on those hits fairly well. But what we've seen Marcus do in this last match that we just had, with his Chi-Yu that was overheating consistently, he just kept it in, kept going for really good damage. And that's what we could see Hengyue do here. Rather than switch out and reset those drops, you've still got powerful Dragon moves. You want to chip that Sash on Chen Pao, you want to start chipping down damage on this Raging Bolt, and particularly as it can't tear it out of that Dragon weakness, you might want to keep up the momentum you've got with your Regidrago whilst it's still on the field at the moment. Question is, the Ogerpon, what's that going to do in this position? Follow Me makes a lot of sense here to get rid of those ice moves and those Dragon moves that can target it down, but it's actually going to be that spiky shield.
Yeah, Ogerpon maybe want to scout out a bit of what Stefano wants to do. And it looks like Raging Bolt also going for the Protect, just wanting to keep itself safe from a potential Draco Meteor that is coming down. The Regidrago is at -2, but that's Draco Meteor is still going to hurt. And now this Chen Pao is very free to, well, first the Regidrago goes for the Draco Meteor. So that is a fantastic protect from that Raging Bolt. And that turn, Stefano's Chen Pao attempted to attack into the Ogerpon. And that was a very wise spiky shield. But now, yeah, I think the Regidrago is in a bit of an awkward spot now.
It is slightly awkward, yeah. I mean, like, it still has the potential to protect again, and it still has the potential to go for a Draco Meteor again as well. But the question is, because Icy Wind has now been dropped onto that Regidrago, does this Raging Bolt have enough speed to actually outspeed the Regidrago into the following turn? And therefore get an attack off before the Draco Meteor comes out, for instance, as well. Obviously, if you're targeting the Regidrago, it has to be a Thunderclap, given the Terra Fairy. But if you're targeting the Ogrebon here, then you want to be able to get off that attack before a Draco Meteor can potentially one-hit KO you.
Well, Ogrebon is on the field no more. In its place is going to be the Iron Crown that's going to take advantage of the Psychic Terrain and use that booster energy to activate, or get that boost to its special attack. Now, Qianpao uses Icicle Crash onto the Iron Crown, so a very nice swap, able to absorb those Icicle Crashes very efficiently, and the Dragon Pulse as well. So a fantastic defensive switch by Hengyue here, and the Draco Meteor at -2 is enough. It is not enough to get the knockout. Raging Ball hangs on with 1 HP. That invisible focus sash just coming into play.
Raging Bolt is so good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, clinging on there with a slither of health, just on balancing on one leg, it seems, as it kind of is able to kill out the turn now. So at least going into the future turns, if Rillaboom, say, kind of can switch in here, it can still offer those Thunderclap damage, which you might definitely want into that Iron Crown. Given you've got the booster energy activated as well, you've got a lot of special attack power behind you too. So we can see, yeah, Stefano kind of switching those things around, see if he can be able to keep out any sort of damage in this turn.
That 1 HP Raging Bolt is going to retreat in place of the Rillaboom that is going to override the Psychic Terrain, which means the Iron Crown, if it chooses to go for the Expanding Force, will only be single target and will not be doing quite as much damage. And now the Regidrago also wants to swap out at -4 special attack. Hengyue recognizes it's not really going to be doing much damage and swaps in the Ogrebon, which is nice and fresh and healthy. And Iron Crown just wanting to keep itself safe for this turn with a Protect.
And there's the Qianpao going for the Sucker Punch, which was most likely into that Iron Crown, which otherwise probably would have definitely gone down, given that its weakness too dark. And the Terror obviously has already been spent on Hengyue's end as well. But crucially, Stefano's planned this really well, because now he's able to punish that Protect, because Rillaboom has hit the field. And now, therefore, a Fake Out plus any sort of attack into the Iron Crown is looking pretty safe. However, what Hengyue can still do is go for a double Protect. So even if it fails, Sucker Punch will also still fail as well. Or, of course, just switch out as well back into that Regidrago is also fairly safe to do. So the Ogrebon here is actually quite in a decent position now, given that this Rillaboom doesn't even have high horsepower. The moves are really resistant on Ogrebon's end, and so it's left out quite open now to start actually dealing the damage you need.
Yeah, the Rillaboom now going for the Fake Out onto the Qianpao with the Sucker Punch into the Iron Crown, getting that call correct, and Iron Crown is going to be knocked out without getting any damage off. And what a very decisive turn for Stefano there. Hengyue is now down to his final 2 Pokemon of the Ogrebon and the Regidrago.
Yeah, maybe Hengyue just overextending a little bit there, and Stefano just playing it straight down the line. And super paying off there, oh my goodness. Like, knowing maybe that Hengyue's Ogrebon is like such a threat, definitely needs to be targeted down to some extent, and feeling like the Cobalion-esque into the future could really get away with it, but no. At least now, that Ogrebon is still looking very strong, but with an Icy Wind drop on it, potentially, this Raging Bolt in the back might actually be able to come in and start outspeeding it and dealing out the rest of the damage that it needs to as well. So it looks like Rillaboom's actually going to switch out, preserve that Fake Out a little later that it will desperately need.
Oh yeah, Rillaboom now is going to be recalled for this 1 HP Raging Bolt. And now the opposing Regidrago does end up going for the Protect, just wanting to keep itself safe for this turn in case of any potential Icicle Crashes. But Icicle Crash ends up into the Ogrebon instead, and Ogrebon's brought so low. The Ivy Cudgel now takes off that remaining final 1 HP with a critical hit onto this Raging Bolt. A little bit of a revenge for that missed KO on this partner Regidrago earlier. Now both the Ogrebons so low against this Qianpao with its Focus Sash intact and a very healthy Rillaboom.
Yeah, that's true. The Rillaboom is healthy and has one more opportunity to go for a Fake Out, but into the next turn, there's not a lot stopping Hengyue from just spiky shielding on that Ogrebon to really keep it very safe. Question is, what does the Regidrago do here? Because obviously, having just gone on the defensive, it needs to kind of go on the offensive here to make the most of it. But as Stefano said, you need to make a double up into something if you're going to get any sort of KO, which creates a lot of mind games as to where things go, whereas Hengyue has a safer option of just nailing that Rillaboom because it can't protect. And that makes that Hengwe's endgame a little bit safer here, actually. I think what could be really interesting, though, is Stefano maybe going for that Icy Wind, dropping a lot of speed, and that Wood Hammer into the Regidrago might be enough.
The Regidrago fails that double protect and allows the champion to actually Icicle Crash to land on this Ogerpon. Ogerpon is knocked out, which gives Rillaboom the room to land a super powerful attack onto this Regidrago, and it is going to eat up this massive Wood Hammer. Regidrago is going to be knocked back to its Pokeball, and Stefano Greppi is going to take game one in such a convincing fashion.
Impressively done from Stefano there. Your Italian candidate here for the final is slowly getting there and is just one more game away.
Well, we've seen time and again this weekend on stream, winning game one does not mean you get to win a game two. And we've seen Hengyue play so well on stream time and again. He definitely has the skills and abilities to make a comeback. And in that last game, David, what do you think Stefano or Hengyue could have done differently to maybe get that win instead?
It was really tricky, wasn't it? Because it felt like Hengyue was on the back foot a lot because of the Chen Pao on Stefano's end.
It never got hit at all.
Never got hit, exactly. Because it was just so naturally fast and was the main speed control that was offering into Hengyue's end with that Icy Wind. And given it's quite a hyper-offensive team that Hengyue has, he was not actually bringing any speed control. So you want to say that Tornadus is definitely a key thing that Hengyue should probably be bringing here to kind of get around Chen Pao's naturally fast speed. And then you can kind of pivot around a little bit more easily with your Regidrago and your Ogerpon so that you aren't taking damage before you need to attack. Just attacking first, it seems quite simple, but like especially for Regidrago, for instance, where you want as much health as possible for a Dragon Energy, and especially for Ogerpon as well, so because you don't have the best of defenses, it's really important to be able to get that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that adaptation from Hengyue.
Yeah, and it's also really worth calling out that this Chen Pao has a kind of a tech move in Icy Wind. It's a move that typically only Flutter Mane carries, and Chen Pao is a very strong physical attacker, but here in this instance, it's also used as support, and I can see why, because it's got the Focus Sash. It's guaranteed to survive at least one turn, so you can get that Icy Wind off, and then the next turns, you can use those really powerful Icicle Crashes and Sucker Punches, and we are going to get started with Game 2 very shortly. This is Game 2 of the semi-finals of the Birmingham Regional Championships. It's going to be Chen Pao and Urshifu versus another Urshifu and Ogerpon Hearthflame.
Okay, so a little bit of a switch up for Hengyue here, dropping the Regidrago in the lead here instead for that Choice Scarf Urshifu. So yeah, that is another Pokemon that actually, talking about speed, actually is a really good option into Chen Pao, right? Because you suddenly naturally outspeed it, and especially with that Terra Water, you can absolutely get a one-hit KO on Chen Pao as soon as you do it. And Chen Pao can't do anything about that, can't defensively Terra because it is that Terra Ice as well. So I think that's a really great switch up here, and can't really be punished easily by Stefano's partner to that Chen Pao in that Urshifu. Really good lead here that's going to pile on pressure. Of course, Stefano can just simply switch out into that Raging Bolt, that Rillaboom, but at least the momentum is in Hengyue's corner right now, and that enables the Ogerpon as well to start pressuring this Urshifu too.
Yeah, the Chen Pao is so heavily pressured by this Choice Scarf Urshifu on Hengyue's side that it is going to be recalled for this Raging Bolt. So if the Surging Strikes does go into it, this Raging Bolt is going to be a very nice sponge for those now no longer super effective Surging Strikes. We're going to get our first terrestrialization of this game. It is going to be going into the Urshifu. Now, which Urshifu did that go into? It is Hengyue's Urshifu. Terra Water Surging Strikes. Ooh, this is going to hit very hard, but it looks like Hengyue may have targeted the Raging Bolt. Which one did it go for? Yes, it is the Raging Bolt, and that is going to sponge up those super powerful Surging Strikes really efficiently.
Yeah, that is probably one of the best switches you can have, maybe outside of a Gastrodon or an Ogerpon Wellspring, perhaps. But yeah, in a really nice position now to threaten Thunderclaps in the following turns. Ivy Cudgel, though, into the Urshifu instead. So that's definitely not going to be too effective as the responding Surging Strikes comes out.
Yeah, Hengyue maybe trying to read a little bit of a Terra Steel of this Urshifu. Goes for the not very effective Fire-type Ivy Cudgel and gets brought down so low into the red for all of its troubles. And now Stefano's Urshifu is sitting in a really nice spot. Stefano's Urshifu also has Aqua Jet, which the Ogerpon looks like it's in range of getting picked off.
Yeah, that's a really good call out, Zoe, because what you can do is just Aquajet with your own Urshifu into the Ogerpon to deny it from Follow Me, and then safely also Thunderclap into the Urshifu on the other end as well. And because you've got that boost energy and Raging Bolt, you most likely have enough special attack in the tank to actually one-hit KO the Urshifu, which otherwise often can survive the Thunderclap from a Raging Bolt that doesn't have any sort of boost to its special attack here. So Hengyue's definitely on the back foot right now. Urshifu, Rapid Strike not really doing much, so a switch up makes perfect sense.
Yeah, this Choice Scarf Urshifu wants to reset the surging strikes that it has been locked into. In its place is going to be the Iron Crown, possibly indicating maybe an Indeedee lurking in the back trying to block the Aqua Jet. So Iron Crown gets, but the Aqua Jet comes off and knocks out the Ogerpon. So Hengyue has lost this Ogerpon. There's no more redirection from Ogerpon, at least. If there's an Indeedee fighting it back, perhaps it can go for the Follow Me. And now the Dragon Pulse coming off into the Iron Crown. That is going to absorb it so nicely.
It definitely does, but obviously Stefano has really swung things around in going into this next turn, because now the Urshifu has been pressured so much on Hengyue's end. It can come in, yes, again, but it's not offering a lot of damage still. Close combat is good, but it's not one-hit KOs. And when you're dealing with the power level that we're at in regular set F, you need to be threatening that sort of damage. But what is on the field is Iron Crown. And when this is supported well, it can do a lot of damage. So Indeedee makes a lot of sense. Iron Crown, naturally speedier than this Urshifu, which it most likely probably is. And as you can see, with that expanding force can do a lot of damage. But now, Stefano most likely has Rillaboom in the back again, given the amount of Psy Spam potential that Hengyue has, right? And that's got an Assault Vest, it can take hits really well, the expanding force has really dropped in its ability to do damage. So can Hengyue predict that in some sort of way? The question is yes, because Indeedee has Helping Hand. So if you were able to say Helping Hand, and then expanding force into the Raging Bolt, or just expanding force into the Urshifu as well, you might still get your KOs you need.
Well, the Indeedee is going to be recalled, maybe potentially reading that Rillaboom switching in so that in the future, Hengyue can swap in that Indeedee. Now, out comes the Terra Water Urshifu, and Stefano also recalls that Raging Bolt for this Assault Vest Rillaboom, overriding this Psychic terrain with Grassy terrain. And not only that, I believe Stefano, has gone for the Terrestrialization into his Urshifu, just making sure that even a single target expanding force is not going to be able to knock out this now Steel-type Urshifu. And this Urshifu is looking so strong in face of this Iron Crown. Iron Crown goes for the expanding force. It is not very effective onto this Urshifu. That takes it so well and responds with a close combat. That is not enough to get the knockout into Iron Crown.
Yeah, unfortunately not. And actually, looking at that damage, it looks like it, even without the Terra, if it was, for instance, like not then weak to Psychic, it actually would be able to take it, which is really interesting. But a really good Terra steal there, right? Because now your Urshifu is still on the field. Rillaboom, though, however, has been baited in. So a really good play from Hengyue to actually switch that Indeedee out to try and get an advantage on this weather wall. Because now, obviously, it can go straight back in, denying Rillaboom fake out, denying it Grassy Glide, and meaning that expanding force can still come out in full force. And potentially now KO the Urshifu through that Terra Steel that it has as well, which looks very potent at the moment. But because it's not an Urshifu, Urshifu can just detect from that as well. Yeah. It looks like Stefano is making an interesting call here that Indeedee might not come in.
Oh, looks like the Urshifu on Hengyue's side is going to be recalled for this Indeedee. So Psychic terrain once again is going to be set upon the field. And we saw earlier the Iron Crown did move before this Urshifu. Urshifu's Aqua Jet is going to be blocked by the Psychic terrain and allows the expanding force to come off. This is a full-powered expanding force and it's enough to get the knockout on Urshifu and brings this Assault Vest Rillaboom down so low.
But what has Stefano done here? Is it a U-turn? Because that would definitely be the move of choice at the moment, given the amount of damage. And yes, it's actually enough for the knockout on this Iron Crown now. And that leaves Hengyue down to his last two Pokemon, meaning Stefano has now won this terrain war.
Oh, Hengyue's back is really against the wall here. He's got this Indeedee, whose only damaging move is Dazzling Gleam. And that, of course, it is super effective against both this Raging Bolt and the Chien-Pao, but it's an Indeedee we're talking about. It's not known for its offensive prowess. And it's also left with this Ogerpon in the back, which, the Urshifu in the back that's locked into a Choice Scarf. So if Stefano can lock that Urshifu into one move, he can just play around it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. If you could send in something that can just take one attack at least well, then you can really respond back very easily, right? So yeah, Rillaboom coming in makes so much sense. You can't really protect from either of these targets. Fake Out can go very safely into the Urshifu, and then you can just follow up easily with, say, a Thunderclap as well. But what you could potentially do with your Hengyue is actually Aqua Jet in the Fake Out turn to potentially avoid the Thunderclap. But then you're still then not getting a whole lot out of that turn, because then your Indeedee is freed up to potentially go for a Dazzling Gleam. The other thing Indeedee could do is Trick Room, but then you're also a Choice Scarf Urshifu, which you really don't want to set up as well. So this is really tricky for Hengyue right now, and Stefano has all of the tools at the moment.
Yeah, Henry's in a really sticky spot. Indeedee goes for the last hurrah helping hand, trying to bypass the Fake Out, which does land onto the Indeedee, so nice read. But what does this Urshifu go for? And does the Raging Ball go for the Thunderclap? It does go into this Urshifu, but Urshifu survives! And it's going to respond with a helper hand boost to close combat, which is enough to get the knockout onto this Raging Bolt. So both of our trainers are down to their final 2 Pokemon. It's looking so close.
It's definitely looking close, but Indeedee is on not the most amount of health, and obviously Urshifu isn't either, but quite consistently, Follow Me is there on the Indeedee to redirect away a lot of those attacks. And so you need to commit 2 hits into that Indeedee to actually KO it here. So the Icicle Crash, fortunately, is not a contact move, and so therefore it's not going to chip the Focus Sash on this Chien-Pao, which is really crucial. And then you can follow up with the Rillaboom with an attack, obviously, but you need to be able to ensure you do enough damage to it to be able to get that KO, so this Urshifu isn't going to start sweeping with that close combat.
Yeah, this Focus Sash Chien-Pao is so key for Stefano, knowing that he's guaranteed to survive this turn. Indeedee looks like it's really going to want to go for that Follow Me, keep that its partner Urshifu that's on a sliver of health still safe for another turn. So here comes the Follow Me, the Rillaboom. We can guess it's probably going to go for that Grassy Glide onto the Indeedee. Does so much damage and takes a lot of recoil for all of its troubles. Now Chien-Pao is going to buzz. Oh, actually the close combat goes off into the Rillaboom, dropping the defenses of this Urshifu. And now it's finally Chien-Pao's turn to attack. Is able to knock out the Indeedee with an Icicle Crash. Oh, it's the Icy Wind.
Just the Icy Wind, actually.
Oh, it is enough to get the knockout.
Enough there for the Urshifu, crucially, and actually connecting as well. Playing with a lot of dice there is Stefano with those moves of choice for Chien-Pao, but that's Urshifu down, and staring down now an Indeedee as well, which needs to dodge quite a few attacks.
Yeah, Indeedee's got Dazzling Gleam, and I don't even think, even without the Focus Sash, this Indeedee is going to be able to knock out this Chien-Pao. But of course, where there's a will, there's a way. The Icicle Crash is going to land onto this Indeedee. Indeedee is knocked out, and Stefano Greppi is going to be advancing to the finals of the Birmingham Regional Championships.